Hello, everyone. This is Kelly Baird of KarmicTools.com, and tonight is our Power Circle monthly community event where we pick something to focus on, and this month's focus is Jupiter in Gemini. For the first time in 12 years, we'll cross over between 24 and 25, spending a full year there, expanding our consciousness and our creative ideas and self-expression in so many ways that I decided in lieu of traditional breath work, we're going to do a meditation that my teacher, Kathy Pagano, taught me. It is very powerful, and it normally could take 20 to 40 minutes, depending on how deep you go. We're going to do a little quick speed version to give you a taste, and then I'll link the longer version in the post called Goodies. So first, I want you to join me in inviting our benevolent angels and loving ancestors and Orisha, our personal animal guides and helping spirits, to be with us tonight. We each have a powerful, invisible team of support that walk with us this lifetime, and it's even more powerful when we bring them together like this. So initially, I want you to take a deep cleansing breath, connecting above, below, and at the heart, and just start grounding here, stepping out of regular time for about an hour to 75 minutes. Is not too much to ask. This meditation is about clearing the doors of perception and cleaning the rooms of your senses. So rather than 7 chakras, we're going to go through the 6 senses. So go to your happy place in nature, wherever you can relax and connect to your higher self, and start breathing slower and deeper. Breathing as if you're breathing through and from your heart or through your skin even. Imagine that each and every breath is pulling all that oxygen in and through your whole body, and then let it out. Focus on the evenness of your breath and tune into the rhythm of it. We try to do even numbers in, even numbers out, 4 counts in, 4 counts out, whatever works for you. Imagine that you're traveling through the blood vessels in your body and begin with your toes and move up through your ankles, up through your calves, pulling the energy, breathing oxygen into these areas of the body, coming up through your knees and thighs, through your hips and your pelvis, come up through your power center and your heart. Keep bringing all that energy up to the third eye, where you can imagine a house. And in this house, there are 6 levels, and each level houses one of your senses. So we're going to walk into this house that you have all access to. This is you and your higher self. Look at that door in front of you. Open it up. She used to use the golden key, but whatever you have to open the door to this beautiful house of yours. Walk in, and when you walk into the house, turn on the light. And there in the front hall, you will see all kinds of cleaning equipment. Buckets of water, the vacuum cleaner, dust cloths, mop sponges, anything you might need to clean the rooms, along with big trash bags to clear out the old. Deep breath. Now, as you go down the hallway on the first floor, this is the room of your vision, of your sight. I want you to walk around it and notice all the dusty corners, dark windows. There may be heaps of rubbish, burned out light bulbs, anything. This is the room of your vision. Now start cleaning it. Take a couple of minutes. We won't be long. Like I said, this is the speed version, but we're going to move through here asking the higher self to handle things in divine time. Imagine cleaning up this room, throwing out all the rubbish. Put the trash in the trash bags, polish the windows, dust the panels or the window panes. Open the window and let some air in. Beautiful, clean air that whisks through the room and takes out the last layer of dust like magic. This is your vision. You want to feel lighter. Now that you've cleared out things blocking you being able to see further or deeper, maybe look out the window and see if there's a new horizon coming up. Feel into being able to clean this out and clear this out. In our terms tonight, the last 3, 6, 9, and 12 years of consciousness we want to clear out and initiate a whole new vision. And like I said, you can come back and go deeper and take longer and really go into this meditation. So come on out of that room, and we're going to go up the stairs to the second level. And you're going to walk down the hallway to the room with the door open. This is the room of your hearing. There may be a lot of junk in here. Cobwebs on the wall, dirt. Imagine cleaning it up, getting some of those brooms and water and sponges. When we do these journeys, we are in Kairos time, which is magic time or God's time. Like I said, there is no time here. So feel into this room. If it's too small, push the walls back, make it bigger. You want this room to be clear so you can hear and listen again. Know that as you're cleaning this room, you're improving your hearing. Now go to the window there, open it up, and listen. Listen to the wind blowing. Allow that breeze to come in and move out the final layer of the past. Listen for the birds chirping. If you're in a city, maybe there's traffic. Maybe there are comforting sounds. Rain. Just feel into the different sounds that you appreciate and sounds that maybe are discordant, right? And they're not in harmony with you. Clear those out. Let those go. We're not letting that stuff into our hearing anymore. Like I said, you can come back here if you feel the need, but let's come out of that room and walk up to the next level. Go down the hallway. Go through that open door and go into the room of smells. There may be a lot of stuff in here. This is one of the oldest ways of activating memory, right? Sense memory is our smell. Get rid of old deodorant bottles or baby smells or air fresheners. Throw it all away. Get it out of here, all the old perfumes. You want to smell something beautiful, so you might want to change the color of the room. Open the window and smell what's outside. There may be food or flowers. Deep breath, clearing your sense of smell and noticing how you operate with that sense. And recognize that you're going to a new level where you'll be able to smell the ideas that are coming up for you and smell the opportunities that are about to come in if we can clear out the old. Now come on out of there, go up to the next level in your house. Go down the hallway to the room with an open door. Go through there to the room of taste. There may be a lot of old food there that you might want to clean up and throw out. Old coffee cups or food that you may have eaten too much of, that you have stored up just in case you need it. All the plastic wraps that food come in, and start cleaning all that up, clearing everything out. And then go to the window, open that window, and look out on your beautiful garden with herbs and vegetables and fruit, anything and everything you dream about in your food forest. And reconnect with your sense of taste, quality nutrient, and imagine the difference between being able to pick it off the tree versus having it delivered. Deep breath. Clear out anything that doesn't align with you going forward. And allow that breeze to come through the window and clear out the last little layer before we come out of here. Go up to the next level. This is the room of touch. So here you might feel into different materials and textures. The materials that we used to wear, all the different decades have had different kinds of clothing, different ways that we do our bedding in the house or the carpets, just all different senses of how you feel when you touch something, smooth, rough, otherwise. This room has all the different things that have run their course, ways that you like to be touched, that you would like to activate going forward, things that have run their course, clear them out, clean this room up, open yourself up to being touched in the unique way that you need. Open that window, let that last breeze come in and clear out anything blocking you from feeling good in your own body. Clear that out. Now we're going up to the top floor. This is where your sixth sense, the sense of feeling, not your personal feelings, but your senses within you. And take a deep breath and start cleaning anything that blocks your sixth sense from being able to commune with you and to clarify or confirm or validate what's going on around you. Again, there's been 3, 6, 9, 12 years of gathering wisdom, information, experience, all going into how you operate with your intuition. Take a deep breath. Now we're going up to the rooftop deck of this house so that we can have our head under the sky and we can sit down and have some fun together. Take a deep cleansing breath in and open to receive that which is just for you this night. Jupiter and Gemini. This is so special, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We have a lot to cover and some pretty juicy divinations and some very special and rare activations. So let's dive in. I want to start with my overview, which if you all want to look it up, it's in the weekly forecast from May 25th when Jupiter entered Gemini. Jupiter activates a brand new 12-year cycle by moving into Gemini. You can and will improve your communication, expand your creative ideas, and cultivate new networks that can support you at home, work, and in the community. We are initiating a whole new truth, story, and belief system that is and can be rooted in your earned wisdom, evolved consciousness, and new thinking after 12 years of education and experience. If 12 years is too much to wrap your brain around, I would encourage you to think in terms of 3-year increments. The Trinity energy is very powerful, and when we work with Jupiter, you are being exposed to an expanded awareness of a larger truth, of which you are an integral part. It is vital to work with this entity when you are consciously co-creating your personal code of ethics and integrity, as well as when you are rewriting your personal truth and story at a whole new level of consciousness, which is what we're graduating to now. Jupiter spends about a year in every sign, taking approximately 12 years to make it through the zodiac. So we are initiating a new 12-year cycle together. There are personal, social, and collective cycles happening at this time. Jupiter, being a social planet, creates that common ground that we all share, and in this case, it's the common consciousness. Plus, initiating in Gemini gives us all a clean slate, new beginning to work with as well. This means that you too have a personal 12-year cycle based on the sign that Jupiter was in when you were born. However, socially and collectively, the 12-year cycle that is being reset at this time, which has to do with doing some personal processing around our common beliefs about learning, education, and consciousness in general. It is a 1 to 3 year process that you can tune into that has considerable support for you to change what you believe to be true or possible for yourself, your community, and the world. Deep breath. Jupiter in Gemini infuses the atmosphere with an air of intellectual curiosity and an increase in communication. Gemini, being an air sign ruled by Mercury, accentuates Jupiter's expansive nature through the lens of mental realms, the exploration of ideas, and social engagement. So all of this is about to increase and be expanded. Individuals born under this influence are often naturally drawn to a wide variety of subjects, always seeking to broaden their knowledge base and expand their own understanding of the world around them. This year, we can all do that. You can get more engaged with your communities, go back to school, get certified, or learn something to make yourself more valuable to the team. On an individual level, this energy supports a deep dive into your own mind, consciousness, and beliefs to see if any of it is still relevant or even true. Truth is fluid and shifts as your consciousness evolves over time. There will be much more information to sort and sift through to get to the truth this year, and so activate your personal filters and prepare to ask questions at every turn in order to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Explore and expand your ideas and thinking and reset your beliefs in a conscious way going forward. The shadow of Jupiter in Gemini is a tendency toward restlessness and a desire for constant movement, change, and stimulation. Maintaining focus on one particular subject or project for an extended period may be challenging. Making the big choices may be challenging if you cannot make up your mind and commit. We may dabble in many things, but not commit to anything. So it will be very easy to overwhelm your system with too much information, making it hard to keep track of the juicy, relevant conversations that you really want to remember. Be vigilant and self-aware, but also watch out for those people who tend to speak without thinking first. anyone with a drastically dual nature or is prone to gossip and superficiality. Overall, Jupiter in Gemini encourages a broad-minded and open-hearted approach to life, where learning is seen as a lifelong journey, and every interaction, even a challenge, is an opportunity for personal growth and self-discovery. So even when conditions are not the way you want them, Jupiter always asks, how is this perfect? Or what is this good for? So that we can expand our thinking, activate our imaginations, exchange ideas, and engage in lively discussions that might lead to greater ideas and creative solutions. Deep breath. Anyone who is a skilled communicator, adept at articulating their thoughts with clarity and charisma, will succeed under this influence. Jupiter in Gemini fosters adaptability and versatility, allowing the individuals to thrive in diverse settings and adapt to changing circumstances with more ease and grace than usual. So we can call that in. The fields that require mental agility, such as teaching, writing, journalism, or public speaking, will expand and thrive this year. These energies will be especially transformative for anyone with strong Gemini, Sag, or Virgo, Pisces activated in your chart. Otherwise, it is time to do some processing and initiation in your Gemini house, which will require integration of your Sag truth and story as it evolves. This will also require your Virgo, Pisces areas of life to grow and change to accommodate this new beginning. The next 3 years are vital to anchoring much larger cycles that will expand your consciousness and activate new creativity, ideas, and choices. Deep breath. So that's the overall year we're looking at, right? What we want to compare it to is looking back to 2012-13, the last time it was in Gemini. Before that was 2000 to 2001. I clocked the cycle because basically the 3-year pivot points that we're looking at are going to be the Gemini, Sag, and Virgo, Pisces. And the way it goes is we initiate and integrate with Gemini and Sag, and then we're tested in Virgo, Pisces in this case with this cycle. So looking at the years that Jupiter was in Virgo, challenging us to grow in our consciousness would have been 2015-16 or 03-04, and the next time we're going to do that, 3 years from now, will be 27-28. And then going forward to the midpoint in Sag, last time we had that was 2018-19 and 06-07 before that. So these are years Jupiter would have been in Sagittarius, expanding bigger things, right? The next time we do that, it'll be 2030-31. And then the last time it was in Pisces was 21-22, and before that, 2010-11. And the next time we do it will be 2033-34. So these are times where, if you've heard me talk about in the seasonal rhythm where we process, choose, anchor, the way that I teach that is winter, spring, summer, fall, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn is a lot of choices and decisions and movement and change. But the month before is Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, Sag, so this is our processing time. And if we could practice processing before we made choices, then the choices would go much better. And then once we make choices, then the fixed signs, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, is where we either anchor permanently or release permanently based on the choices we just made. So the same thing is happening on a grander scale with Jupiter here, right? So these years that we're going to talk about tonight, and pretty much anything we talk about tonight, has to do with consciousness, pure consciousness. Gemini just activates it at a deeper level. Jupiter rules Sag and is at home in this processing place of making meaning out of information. It's what we do with Jupiter, right? So wherever it lands tends to have that vibe, and that's why this expansion of information and communication is going to be so crazy for this year. But how did it go for you back in 2012 and before that 2000 in terms of expansion of consciousness in your individual life? But also I remind you too, when any of the planets go through Gemini or Sagittarius, they are raising the vibe on the social collective levels. This is a huge upgrade to the social collective consciousness, not just our individual. But if you know me, then you know my work. I do everything to focus on the individual because I think if the individuals get it together, the globe will be okay. So everything that we do tonight, we're going to apply both individually and socially, thinking about it micro to macro. How do you want to do things in a personal way? And then how do you want to do things on a larger scale with other people? You know, this is the time to activate new networks like we've been saying, right? And if we're going to work with Jupiter and we're going to be conscious about it, then I do have these bullets: accessing your truth and purpose, activating your spiritual quest. These are all things you can do this year. Take risks which build your character, seek truth, wisdom, and understanding. Be your most optimistic and enthusiastic self. Dream of the future or make future plans. Improve your life on one or many levels. Expand your field of knowledge. Go back to school. Connect to a larger, more philosophical perspective and get your PhD in you. What I mean by that is Jupiter reveals your consciousness. It's not really revealing anything else. As it moves through each sign, it activates and expands a different area in your chart, and you're learning what you believe to be true or possible. Now, the shadow that we have to be equally mindful of is the blind spot being unrealistic, exaggeration, overexpansion, self-righteousness, excesses of all kinds, and making things bigger. Typical Jupiter stuff, right? So we want to ask for those filters to be activated so that every turn you're asking the question, is this relevant? Is this useful? Is this real or my perception? Is this me or someone else? Is this fact or truth? We want to look at all those things and really ask questions at every turn. That way, everyone's clear, right? If you let too many things slide, then it causes more confusion. I also thought it was interesting when I looked at the little pivot points of Jupiter in each sign, the way that I break it down in my Astro 101 class. With Jupiter in Gemini, we talk about improving your communication. The lesson is around communication, self-expression, and your authentic voice. And the shadow of Jupiter in Gemini is speaking without thinking first, duality, gossip, and superficiality. So that's Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter in Virgo is all about improving your system for living, learning the lesson of discernment, trust, learning who, when, and how much to trust. In this case, trusting what you believe, trusting your own intuition to make moves in the world. The shadow of Jupiter in Virgo is getting stuck on the little things, being critical and or petty. And then Jupiter in Sag is about improving your beliefs and your personal philosophy, the lessons around expanding your consciousness, higher education, and belief systems. And the shadow, it says to watch your blind spot where you miss something vital right under your nose. And then Jupiter in Pisces is about improving your intuition. The lesson is around sensitivity and boundary issues. And the shadow is being oversensitive, absorbing others, and or projecting your thoughts and feelings onto others. All of these things are up because Jupiter's in Gemini. It's going to tag the other by default. So that's why I said this one is really important to those of us that have Gemini, Sag, and Virgo, Pisces really strongly activated in our charts, because this is a huge year of processing. Because of Gemini, we're talking the mental realm and input-output, which I think should be more balanced than it is in our world today, because our systems are not computers and our brains are not meant to run 24/7, 365 with no breaks and no timeouts and no time in nature to down-regulate your nervous system. So being mindful and aware is going to help you. Staying in your body, adding those grounding practices, just being vigilant about all of it is what's going to help you from either going crazy or just being fried, died, laid to the side, overwhelmed by everything going on around you. We don't want that. The better way to rock this is to get into your creativity, figure out how that voice can be new and different going forward, what you want to express, the narrative you want to live into. How do you want to do that? And learning, getting that earned wisdom out of the last 3, 6, 9, and 12 years and applying what you've learned to the next 3, 6, 9, 12 years, right? So now one of the other ways we do that is by looking at what Jupiter in Gemini is going to touch over the course of the next year. And that got real interesting because, first of all, we've already had the first one, June 2nd. We're talking on June 6th, so we're very much in the orb of influence anyway. And I recommend you go to the weekly forecast for that one too. But Jupiter in Gemini trine Pluto in Aquarius is a huge transformation of our consciousness around our sovereignty, individuality within the context of our communities and relationships and family and people in the world, right? So there's this evolution of your consciousness and the ease and grace of the trine to Pluto facilitating that utter transformation, rebirth, going to the next level in such a true and permanent way, right? There's no going back. The idea behind the cycles with me anyway, when I say look back to 2012 or 2000 or go back, every 12 years, feeling into Jupiter and Gemini times, how did you evolve? What happened around you? Did you go back to school? Did you improve your life in certain ways? And how do you want to do that right now? And right now, what are you ready, willing, and able to change in terms of your consciousness and what you believe to be true or possible for yourself, the individual, within the context of the rest of the world? That's important. The next hit is going to come in July 10th, when Jupiter in the sky will sextile North Node in Aries. So now we're looking at our consciousness and belief in an opportunity with the life path and direction. This, too, is juicy. Now we're talking if we can evolve our consciousness and go to the next level with what we're learning and teaching, then we can choose a new direction, we can anchor a new direction, and that new direction should be all about you, the individual. It's Aries. It's not about other people. So be very clear about what you want, who you are, and the direction you want to take right now. And use that opportunity and what I call prayer days. When I give you dates like this, those are considered prayer days where you would light a candle, get a glass of water, and write out a petition about these very things that I'm talking about. And that day I would want an opportunity to expand my network, to expand my reach, so that my purpose was just radiating out, because that's what this is really good for. And that Jupiter to Pluto is another one that I've read in other places about being really good for publicity and expanding your reach. So we are in a prime position if you're in a position to know who you are and what you want in terms of your purpose. And if not, then it's time to get on that and start experimenting and using this energy to explore your options and see what might intrigue you or spark your interest. Now, I think in 2025 it might square when the North Node hits Pisces, right? So while Jupiter's in Gemini, we have an opportunity right now. But in a little while, when the North Node and life path shifts to Pisces, that's going to be challenging to grow in our consciousness and belief. And in that case, it's going to be about your spiritual practices, which we've already talked about with Saturn in Pisces for the last year or two, to anchor that and to really solidify your relationship with your spirit team. Because the better you are with that, then the easier that challenge to the life path will go, just because your consciousness is expanding and you're going to have to change and make certain choices and decisions at that time. Meantime, it is going to square Saturn. Jupiter squaring Saturn is a big deal, because now we got our truth and purpose squaring off together. Jupiter is the truth and Saturn is the purpose. And so our truth, story, and belief system is going up against our reality and purpose, our roles and responsibilities, things that are changing because of that square. And it's going to happen twice. It doesn't look like we got 3 times, but we do have twice with Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Gemini. So again, with growing in your consciousness, evolving with your practices in the body and the spirit, they're both important. August 19th and December 24th, which is Christmas Eve, would be the prayer days for those. So if you know that you're already processing things that have to do with your consciousness and what you believe to be true or possible, and have to do with your reality and purpose, then you're going to want to use that time to invite your spirit team to support you for positive outcomes, that you're going to be able to change your consciousness and evolve your relationship with your spirit team and actually be more effective going forward. It's huge. The other opportunity we're going to get 3 chances at between now and next year is a sextile opportunity to Chiron in Aries. So now we've got this consciousness having an opportunity with the healing, education, and soul work, the evolution going on there. We've been having to heal things about our identity and purpose, to feel powerful, to feel trustworthy with our next level, and making choices after making bad choices in the past and maybe not trusting ourselves so much. We're healing all that. And we're healing the fact that we have to call our own purpose in, no matter what the world is doing, okay? And we all know that going to college and getting a degree can be helpful if you know how to work that system. But otherwise, life experience this year, you're going to be getting education from all different angles and ways, and storytelling and theater and games and all kinds of ways that you could learn other than just going to school. This is my point. This is the variety and diversity zone. And just know that you have an opportunity to heal what you believe is possible for your own integration of the next level identity that you want to call in. So this seems like a good pause for the cause before we do divinations. And then if people are up to a drum journey, we can do that. Does anyone want to star 6 and pop in with any questions or comments?
Hi, Kelly. It's Kim.
Hey. Oh, I forgot to talk about the degrees.
That's okay. Right now, I'm just I don't have any planets in Gemini, but of course I have a Gemini house. And my Gemini house is the 8th house. And so, yeah, that's what I said. And then I was like, well, actually, that makes sense for the things that have been coming in lately. They have been very 8th house. They've been very ancestral. They've been very, I love digging into my ancestry and following the clues. And just this week, I received a really big lead that I would definitely say was a Gemini lead of information that I'm just going to say it led me to one side of the family is Native American and Black. And so I have been looking more for the Native American side, but then the information they provided me, one of my ancestors is a Choctaw freedman. All of this information was there to include his mother, his father, to also include the owners of his mother and his father. And I was like, wow. Oh my gosh, that is, my mom, she had never seen that information before. I was like, that information is a treasure trove of information. And so now I have more things that I can talk to that tribe about and ask what other history they have about the freedmen. And I was like, information, 8th house, ancestry. And then I'm going to ask those other questions like, well, what does this mean? And is there anything there? I don't even know what anything to ask for is. But right now, it's just information. I want all that Gemini. I want all that Jupiter. I want all that 8th house. So right now, that's and then we'll see. I was like, I'm not going to go straight to inheritance, but I'm like, but right now, my inheritance is the information to know who these ancestors are who've been lost to time. So right now, my inheritance is not money. It is energy and information. So I'm thankful that Jupiter is going to spend a lot of time in my 8th house, and I know that can sound horrible, but actually for me, I think it's going to be great. So
I think it's going to be great too. I love it. Thank you for sharing, baby. Anyone else feeling it? Feeling the expansion of your Gemini house? Mine is 7th house of partnerships and relationships, so I'll be learning and teaching with folks a lot this year. All right. We want to move to the Divinations. We're doing good on time here. So this time I went for The Mythic Tarot by Juliet Sharman Burke and Liz Green. And if you've gotten your Astro Tarot reading with me, then you've heard these cards. And why I like them is because they combine the language of mythology and psychology. So there's archetypes in mythology and stories that will be familiar even if you don't remember your Greek mythology, which is a lot of what it is in here. What I did is I asked for guidance. I pulled 4 cards. Is that true? Yes. One is about completion of 2012 to 2024, letting go. And we got the Death card for change, endings, and new beginnings. And that's number 14 in this deck. And then we did the initiation guidance for the next 12 years, 2024 to 36. Initiation, what we need to make room for. And we got the Hierophant, which is number 5, which means begin to formulate a personal philosophy and vision of the spirit for yourself. That's important. And then I asked about preparation for the new consciousness, creative ideas, and expanded networks, and what we might have to change to accommodate those. And we got the Queen of Pentacles, which is the Queen of Earth, and any other deck here has to do with strength, sensuality, and self-value. Deep breath. And you know me, I always have to ask for guidance on any shadow, the consciousness to beware of. And we got the 7 of Swords, which would be the 7 of Air in any other deck. In this one, it's about guile, tact, diplomacy, and wit. So let's dive in. The first one is our completion of the last 12-year story, letting go. On an inner level, Hades, the Lord of Death, is an image of the permanent and final end of a cycle of life. When we change, a new attitude or new circumstances may come, but the old way is dead and will never return in its original form. Thus, Hades is a symbol of that finality which we experience with all endings. Also, the dark robes are a symbol of the experience of mourning, which is necessary to prepare for the new cycle. In the card of the Hanged Man, we encountered the experience of voluntary submission to the hidden laws of the psyche. The decision to let go of something in the hope that a new phase of life might emerge. Hades, the Lord of Death, represents that in-between state where we are brought face to face with the complete irrevocability of our loss, before the sense of new growth has even begun. The card of death does not symbolize or does not necessarily symbolize a quote-unquote bad ending. The experience of irrevocable ending can also accompany such joyful events as marriage or the birth of a child. But these events not only connote a new beginning, they also mean the death of an old way of life, and that loss must be acknowledged and mourned. Thus, we have such modern rituals as stag parties to acknowledge the loss of the bachelor state. Women, and men for that matter, are often unaccountably depressed at the birth of a child because there has not yet been an acknowledgement that a phase of life has died at the same time that a new thing has been born. Thus, coin must be paid to Hades because he presides over all endings and all new beginnings. And the ending is just as important as the beginning and must be recognized and felt. We go naked into the underworld, for we cannot bring with us our previous patterns and attitudes, which have provided us with security. Thus, the card of death is not a description of physical death, but rather an image of the inevitable changing cycles of life, which always contain endings. Through the eyes of Hades, life can be seen as a constant procession of death, beginning with leaving the comforting waters of the womb for the harsh reality of separate physical existence. Never again will we live in the blissful paradise of the mother's body. Childhood must die for adolescence and sexual development to begin. And youth, however strenuously we prolong it with diet, exercise, and cosmetics, will eventually die to make way for the maturity of middle age. Every relationship, even the best, has its cycles of endings and beginnings. For our feelings change as time passes, and our understanding of another person grows. We leave our single state behind in marriage and our eternal youth behind with the birth of children, who remind us of our own mortality. Thus, Hades, Lord of Death, is our invisible companion throughout life, to whom we must pay our due. On a divine level, the card of death implies that something must come to an end. Whether or not this experience is painful depends upon the person's capacity to accept and recognize the necessity of ending. The card of death can suggest an opportunity for a new life if one can let go of the old one. Thus, the fool enters the underworld, leaving behind him his previous life to prepare for an unknown future. Deep breath. So in our case, it would be the death of old consciousness. In this case, the death of an old story, the death of the old beliefs, because we've grown in our consciousness and we have new things coming in. So deep breath. But to support us going forward, what we have to make room for is activating that ability to actually formulate your own personal philosophy and belief system that works for you, right? So here with the Hierophant, this is Chiron in the mythology, who's one of my favorites. On an inner level, Chiron, the Hierophant, is an image of that part of us which reaches upward toward the spirit in order to understand what is required of us by God. He is the inner spiritual teacher, the priest who establishes a link between ordinary worldly consciousness and intuitive knowledge of God's law. While the world of Persephone, the high priestess, is dark and elusive and cannot be comprehended by the intellect, the world of Chiron can be elucidated and interpreted by the mind. The ancient word for priest was pontifex, meaning maker of bridges, for the role of the priest both within and outside of us is to serve as a spiritual father, establishing a relationship between man and God and making clear the nature of the laws by which we must live in order to be in right relationship with the divine. The emperor's laws embodying the father principle on earth are concerned with right behavior in the world, but the laws of the Hierophant are concerned with the right behavior in the eyes of God. However, Chiron does not symbolize any orthodox religious system. He is a wild creature, half man and half animal, and his temple is not man-made either, but rather a cave within a mountain. Thus, the spiritual law which he transmits is not a collective one distilled into dogma, but an individual one which can be found only by the relationship with the priest or priestess within. Thus, different people experience God differently, and we come to our own spiritual understanding according to our own particular relationship with what God might actually mean. Chiron's injury makes him the wounded healer, the one who, through his own pain, can appreciate the pain of others and can therefore see further and higher than those who are merely blindly content. Thus, Chiron, the Hierophant, represents the wounded part of ourselves where some unsolvable problem or limitation deepens us and makes us compassionate where otherwise we would be merely shallow-mouthed pieces spitting out platitudes of goodness without any real sense of what it might mean. So we have this, the true priest is open. The image of Chiron relates us to these insurmountable limitations or wounds within us, which although they may cause suffering in ordinary life, nevertheless make us question and open the way to a greater understanding of the higher laws of life. This paradox is also suggested by the Cantor himself, for being half God and half horse. He partakes both of the instincts and of the spirit, and contains a duality which is part of our own human condition. We too are neither wholly beast nor wholly divine, but a mixture of both, and we must learn to live with both. Out of this mixture comes the wisdom of the knowledge of God and the knowledge of natural law, which is God manifesting in the world of form. On a divine level, the Hierophant implies that the individual will begin to actively seek answers of a philosophical kind. This may emerge as a study of a particular philosophy or system of belief, or as a deep commitment to a quest for meaning in life. The Hierophant may appear in the form of an analyst, psychotherapist, priest, or spiritual mentor in outside life, to whom we turn for comfort and help. The Fool thus emerges from his discovery of the underworld and the hidden powers of the unconscious, seeking answers to the enigma of himself and the meaning of his life. When he meets the Hierophant, he encounters that part of himself which can begin to formulate and express a personal philosophy, an individual vision of the spirit which guides him as he leaves his childhood behind and ventures out into life's challenges. So for our upcoming 12-year story, we're integrating that healing of consciousness that we've had in terms of learning over the last 12 years and what we can apply to going forward, but also having that integration of our dual parts, right? That spirit in human form or physical form is important to deal with and navigate through and work with consciously. So we are supported, but if you don't have your own consciousness and you don't have your own philosophy, you're going to be bombarded with everyone else's and get pushed to, it's kind of the loudest voice, strongest personality is going to win these days. So you have to pick and choose your place to present certain things, right? And also be mindful of your own physical system and nervous system in terms of how much information, again, with the input-output balance becomes so critical. Now, for preparation for all this new consciousness and creative ideas, the Queen of Pentacles wants to support us, so that alone tells me get back in our bodies, right, and be aware of our physical things. But this is what needs to change to accommodate the new consciousness. The Queen of Pentacles is an image of feminine strength and sensuality, which can enslave even an untamed brute like Hercules. In one sense, she represents the sensuality of the body itself. This is not a simple craving for physical satisfaction, but a primordial force which possesses both dignity and power. In serving the Queen, Hercules passes through a kind of initiation, and we too, when we encounter the Queen of Pentacles within ourselves, must bow to the power of the instincts and acknowledge that even the highest mind and most rarefied spirituality exists in a body which is made of earth. The Queen is not merely a sensualist. She is a ruler in her own right, prepared to be generous, but always pragmatic and protective of her own wealth and territory. Her purchase of the hero as a lover is made not because no other lovers are available, but because she wants the best. Thus, she may also be taken as an image of self-value because she treats herself and her body, as well as her country, with care and lavish generosity. She possesses the endurance and stability of the earth itself. And although sensuality alone cannot fill a life, she is an image of its great importance and value. Deep breath. When the Queen of Pentacles appears in a spread, it's time for the individual to learn about the full expression of his or her sensuality, the full value of the body, and the importance of those pleasures which preserve and enrich life. The individual may also be called upon to learn to sustain and preserve material resources, holding conditions stable and secure while saving both money and energy. The Queen of Pentacles may enter one's life as a strong, sensual woman, self-sufficient and hardworking, yet generous and willing to indulge herself and others if it suits her purposes. But if such a woman enters one's life, it suggests that these qualities are trying to emerge from within oneself. Deep breath. So, in preparation for, we need to be saving money and energy. We need to be sustaining and preserving material resources. So here we are with those multiple ideas and things that, what I say, creating your cornerstone or your umbrella or the one big thing, and then growing legs out of it so you have many little things that are going on to support you when the one big thing may be waning, because a lot of times there's a wax and wane kind of energy to our projects. You want to definitely be thinking of multiple streams of income and ways to branch out with your education, again, with learning and teaching, how you can do that in many, many different ways. Collaborating with people is going to be useful, again, with those networks being developed. When we collaborate, our networks grow exponentially. I mean, I can testify. Everyone I collaborate with, that cross-pollination is so wonderful for everyone involved. Now, the shadow to beware of, we got the Seven of Swords, which would be the Seven of Air. The Seven of Swords represents the application of mental energy in a cautious, wily, and diplomatic way in order to gain the end desired. Here the message is brains rather than brawn. Sometimes life may require the individual to develop guile, wit, and cunning. The feeling of the Seven of Swords is ambivalent, for we cannot be sure of the rightness of the goal. There is something slightly questionable about the Seven of Swords, even if the goal is an apparently good or justified one. And this raises the problem of the essential amorality of the mind. Uncontaminated by feeling values, the intellect can be cold and manipulative, and the end can justify the means, even when that end is a noble one. But this card suggests that life may require us to develop such attributes, even if our natures dislike such obvious cunning. In order to achieve a goal, tact, deliberate charm, and even subterfuge may be necessary, and this can leave us with an uncomfortable feeling if we are at all ethical in our dealings with others. But ARIES, as the character in the mythology, cannot arrive in town at the head of a parade with trumpets blaring. All that would happen would be that he would be imprisoned and probably killed, and he would be blocked from accomplishing the god's will. Therefore, he must compromise his character, and this seems to be a requirement of the stage of the journey reflected by the Seven of Swords. Guile is one of the attributes of the mind, and guile must therefore sometimes be used in life. In any exchange of opinions, this guile is needed. Otherwise, we should simply bully others and shout them down and achieve nothing. Every politician understands this quality of guile. So, too, do priests and counselors. For tact is the kinder face of guile, and ideas must be clothed tactfully if they are to be communicated, for good or ill. On a divine level, the Seven of Swords heralds a time when it is necessary to use guile, tact, diplomacy, and wit, rather than strong-armed bullying tactics to achieve one's ends. This may leave an uncomfortable feeling of falseness, but life may require it. Okay, so what Spirit's telling me is that I've always had this little philosophy for years about having a cover, because sometimes we can't go straight at the truth the way we want to, or it would cause violence. So thinking about your presentation, thinking about how that's evolved. We just came through Venus in Gemini, which is our values and priorities. That's a big one on how we present ourselves to the world at this time. And so there's, again, with this micro to macro in terms of your consciousness reflecting in your choices and your actions and your appearance, and everything that you're bringing to the table is revealing your consciousness. So this time, as Jupiter enters Gemini, this is a good time to just do the reflection, do the check-in to make sure you're on track, and not letting the monkey mind run things, not letting the ego run things. And at the same time, you're protecting yourself from any energies or entities that might want to block your good, because Jupiter is the benefactor. And so it's going to bring blessings to that Gemini house. And we want to be ready for them. We want to be strong and prepared to respond in kind, right, to be able to respond. So a lot of times we have to get certain things in order and create a little foundation so that expansion is easier. And Jupiter wants to expand. So check in with your base in many ways and see how things are going there. Okay, I will let you go. And I thank everyone for being here and joining me live, holding it down. The replay will go up on the channels, and the post-call goodies will go to those who joined us and registered. And I really, really appreciate the community for being with me, for listening, and reach out when you need to. Thank you, everyone. Be well.